がサタンしろ
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 221 of the Saturn Studs podcast. I'm Kurt, joined once again this week by my publicly shamed co-hosts, Peter and Jake.
Yeah, yes. Come at you this week with the literal Windows installation edition of the podcast. That's right, Peter has a new piece of furniture in his apartment. Can you call Windows furniture? I just did.
Wait,
Say it's more of a home accessory.
wait, did you get new Windows in your place, or did you get like a
Yes.
new Windows operating system?
That,
So it's like
you'll never know.
Sometimes that feels like a new piece of furniture.
No,
A developer preview of Windows 11.
the several panes of glass were installed over a
Nice.
week of time in which my 40-foot solarium stretch on the 4th floor was open with no balcony and a tarp covering it.
And you just contemplated.
That must have been
I
wonderful
did.
for all the
I thought long
thunderstorms
and
that rolled
hard.
through our area.
I also thought long and hard about the rain, which I was worried that would come down into my solarium, which, shall I remind everyone at home, for those of you keeping up on your lore, your Saturn Studs lore, my solarium is covered, despite being an outdoor space, in carpet.
Yes, it's a very odd
Just
thing. This
put
is what
tile
happens
down.
when you try to convert a old Catholic girls' school into an apartment complex. You end up with some weird shit.
And now the solarium smells like cock. Window cock.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So,
Also the other kind of cock, but we don't talk about that orgy.
Who's that guy on Friends? Who's like in the apartment across from theirs?
I don't
Kramer?
watch Friends.
Is he just called Naked Guy? That was the one thing I remembered from Friends, was that there was like a running gag was that there was a naked dude across the way from the Friends apartment who would just do stuff naked and they could all see him from the window.
Well,
That
that's
was-
their fault for looking.
Yeah. That was the gag. That was the entirety of the joke.
You don't touch the clown. You let the clown touch you.
Not touch you.
Oh. You broke the cardinal rule.
Where
Don't touch the clowns. Let the clowns touch you. And of course, as always, we're coming at you live from Sandy's Island in Bikini Bottom. Except it's inhabited by two guys named Tom. What are they doing over there? Wait,
Tom
that's
and Tom,
not
the
okay.
Lighthouse brothers.
Fucking masturbating to limestone carvings of mermaids and chopping each other up with hatchets, apparently.
Casually digging an
Spoilers.
axe into his shoulder and just being like, "No, I don't like this. You get the axe."
Welcome to we of course watched The Lighthouse. It came out a while ago, and I was immediately intrigued.
We were all intrigued, but I don't think this was quite the movie we expected it to be.
This is the
No,
type of movie
this
where you
is-
have to watch like ending explain videos for like at least 30 minutes afterwards to just be like,
You do need to watch
Oh.
it multiple times.
I have several interpretations of the movie that I could present if I were trying to like be a snobby avant-garde art critic. But my general interpretation is bring a book because you're gonna need something to keep your mind occupied in between just rants of incoherent drivel.
and if you really want to
Yeah.
listen to them, put the subtitles on because boy, what is his
They
name?
talk in 1800s
Hey.
Nova Scotia whaling accents.
Robert.
Except for Robert Pattinson, he has like a Kennedy accent for some reason.
Yeah, he
that
sounds
that
like
was
he's
jarring.
This takes place
Well,
in
I
Rhode
mean,
Island.
I guess, yeah, it's supposedly set in New England.
Yeah. But his like accent does.
I didn't
change
think they had
sometimes.
that accent at that time.
It was filmed in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
I read the plot summary on Wikipedia to try to divine anything from this movie.
I watched 2 ending explained videos. One went super in depth, and I only want to scrape the surface, because if anybody's interested, they can go look into it themselves, because it deals a lot with like unconscious and the collective unconscious of your mind and like yourself, and a lot of it is inspired by I'm trying to remember what the name of it the guy is, but he's some
I know
like
I watched the
famous psychologist. But Robert Eggers takes a lot of inspiration from the guys like Carl Jewell or something like that.
Carl
Jung, yeah. I knew it started with the
Yeah.
Carl Jung. He takes a lot of really deep lore and ideas from him, like almost to the T.
I watched the Knowledge Hub video where he compared the Lighthouse as the extension, the movie to extend the show, The Adventures of Flapjack.
That's amazing.
Eggers.
Or canonically, the Lighthouse comes after the events of the Adventures of Flapjack.
Oh my god,
That I can see that.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Eggers is quoted as saying, "It's a movie where both Jung and Freud would be furiously eating their popcorn."
Yeah, it's
It's fucking
for
weird.
sure.
We'll have plenty to say about the Lighthouse at the conclusion of this episode, so stick around for that. But first, we begin, as we always do, with our trailer roundup segment that we call Trey Watch. And boy howdy, we might not have a lot of quantity, but we've got some quality on deck for you.
Oh yes. Now, usually we'd browse online to see what happened during Comic-Con this week, because it is Comic-Con, but now Comic-Con is online, so I don't want to be online at the same time as Comic-Con. I want to stay away. Even ISP proximity is just too much for me at this point.
The Necro Comic-Con.
There are a couple shows that I did see that I was like, yes, I will mention these on the podcast. But other than that, I looked at their site, and it's straight out of 2006.
Yeah, that is
as
cluster.
Kurt so eloquently put it when he first saw the several dozen buttons on the home page.
It is dense.
It feels like a Starship console, but it just takes you to Tumblr art pages. Doesn't turn on the warp coils.
There's a button for art show on Tumblr. That's like saying like circle jerk and 9gag.
I was told that Tumblr died when the porn left. Why is it being brought back to relevance?
Well, nobody goes on it, so they're just like, it's free real estate. So it's like, time to move in. Time for Comic-Con. So I clicked on the link, and I've never been on Tumblr, really. I was never a Tumblr person.
Well, that's because you're a straight white man.
Yeah.
You're not welcome there.
This is weird. I don't like what I'm seeing.
Let me follow you. I will follow you into the
Once more into
awful.
the breach.
All right, it's loading. It's got a loading screen.
Furries. I've gotten to
That's
the
good.
furry part.
That didn't take long.
Oh, that is a
That's
skull
because
and
the
a
My Little
lollipop.
Ponies came first. It pushed down the furries.
Friendship is magic.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, this is interesting.
This one.
All
This
right.
one. That's
If
on
everyone's
the
freaking
top.
out, I gotta see this now. If everyone's
Yeah.
fucking freaking out.
Yeah, I
Art
saw that.
show.
That was bizarre, dude. What is that monster from? Is that tentacle green?
I think it's just someone's thing.
I feel like
You
I've
you remember those VHS tapes of the Ronald McDonald gang when they were kids?
Yeah,
I'm 80% sure that was in one of those movies.
yeah. The one tooth.
Wait, why is there a tab called Masquerade? I don't know what. We're going.
This is
we're
great
into
radio,
uncharted
by the
territory.
way. This is great.
There's a tab on the page called Masquerade, and I don't. Okay, it's just it's the cosplay
Look,
section.
if you're at home,
Just
if you're at
call
home
it the
listening to this,
cosplay section.
and you're in front of a computer or a phone or something, just rewind like 20 seconds. Follow along with us. Comic Con, that there's a dash in there, .org, and then click on that little old Tumblr art show on Tumblr.
Here's this fucking gem.
Oh, we got
Painted on a
Catwoman.
fence.
Some vor fantasy of Catwoman eating a small Batman. Or at least I think that's what's going on
A
here.
lot of shit that I don't understand.
The Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, of course.
I think the judge of this contest is Phil Foglio of MTG art fame. Let me find some good Phil Foglio works.
There's a lot of overlap between
Phil.
MGT people and Tumblr. That's maybe why the game is trending in the direction it's trending.
Thanks
Here
to
we
Noah
go.
Bradley.
Here we go. Oh yeah, that. Oh god. Here's the Orcish Librarian from Phil Foglio. Classic fantasy art right here. I honestly do enjoy his work, but you can see
okay, that's cool.
it was of the 90s.
Yeah.
He was the one guy who's like, I'm gonna put silly art in Magic.
And they're like, can we not?
And then his wife did fucking Thunderstaff, which is one of the most metal arts. Thunderstaff.
I mean, it sounds metal as fuck,
Yeah.
both in material and like
Let me
music.
see if I can't find the old version. Here we go.
The old Thunderstaff. That's what they called my penis in high school.
So we were supposed to be talking about trailers.
We are. It's Comic Con. It's all our
there's-
lead up to this very important New Mutants trailer. So we got
Yeah, let's.
we got a couple New Mutants things. One was a Comic Con teaser, and then the other was is like a first 2 minutes of the movie, or it's maybe 2 minutes in the movie. Who knows?
I
Who the
think
fuck
it's
knows?
supposed to. It's titled first 2 minutes.
It's
So I'm
first 2 minutes. It could be the first 2
gonna
minutes
assume it's the
released.
first 2 minutes.
It could be the first 2 minutes of the second act. We don't know. Whatever it is, it's we follow. So I'll go with the 2 minutes first because that's what's first on movie clips. So we kind of follow the story and get a kind of introduction to one of the new characters. They may have mentioned her name, I don't know, but she's Native American. Her dad is as well. So they go into some of the lore, and there is some ravaging monster attacking this like little area or home of like trailer parks, maybe on an Indian reservation. And her dad tries to go help people as he gets his daughter to safety, and then he is brutally attacked and killed. Don't know what that is. Don't know what killed him. It could be her. Because she like blacks out and wakes up in a hospital bed, handcuffed to a bed, and they have said that
Was it ever real at all?
yeah. So maybe it wasn't real, maybe it was a dream sequence, but they then tell people that, hey, you're here because you've all killed somebody. Normally you'd be in a jail, but now you're in a mental institute sort of thing.
Like
you're gonna
Casanova Frankenstein.
Yeah, we're gonna face your like worst nightmares apparently, and that's kind of where the teaser trailer brings us into, is we meet some of the other
Glass?
characters and some of their powers.
Yeah, it's doesn't look engaging to me. I'll say that much. I'm sure there is a segment of people who are looking forward to this, but I can't say as though ripping off imagery from other works of horror and interjecting superheroes really does much for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this last time, where it's difficult inherently to do horror with superpowered protagonists because you don't have the same sense of helplessness.
Mhm.
It looks like they're going a little more psychological horror, which can work, I guess, but I don't know. It's difficult for me to really pinpoint who the audience for this is. But I can tell you who the audience isn't, and that's this guy right here.
Haha. I think that also breaks the other tenet of horror, which is generally hide your monsters because your monsters never look as good in broad daylight as they do in the shadows.
Speaking of breaking
And
that cardinal rule,
yeah,
the trailer for Sputnik, which looks like an interesting
Oh,
cross
yes.
between someone saw Chernobyl and was like, I have an idea. Let's take Chernobyl, let's take Alien, and let's smash them up.
Yeah.
And we got Sputnik.
I wasn't expecting this.
it's me, Wayland Yutani.
Yeah, the Wayland Yutani Corporation. But yeah, so it's basically Alien on Earth
In Russia.
in Russia.
Bless.
So
Bless,
they-
comrade.
it was a good trailer. Right up until and it's not necessarily the worst because you don't see it for too long, but like they do the full monster reveal in the trailer, which I don't think you should have done. You should have hit that.
Hide it. Just hide it.
Yeah.
Leave it for the
I think
movie.
the gimmick for this monster at least is that it lives inside the cosmonaut and it comes out when he goes to sleep. And he doesn't know that he has an alien inside of him.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes, that is. I did not get the comes out when he goes to sleep, but I knew that he had the alien inside him. They were
Yeah.
trying to extract it.
They
That
even
was
call it
the,
a parasite, and they bring in like a separate doctor, and they're like, "Hey, our beloved fearless leader wants you to separate the parasite from the host. Do it or you die."
Now, if you want the even slower, more lacking in excitement version of this, go watch the classic 60s movie Andromeda Strain. Let me make sure I have that title
Or
right.
Read the book.
Andromeda Strain. This also reminded me a lot of
Yes.
that one like recent movie, Life. Is that what it was called? Something
Yes,
like
Yes.
the prequel to
The
Venom.
Venom.
that? Yeah. Prequel to that. Yeah.
So, Andromeda Strain, for those of you who might be interested, it's a virus falls from space and is going to infect. It's gonna go and infect the world, or something like that. And then the movie is 5 doctors go down into a secret underground bunker and work on a cure, and it lasts some number of hours.
They did a miniseries reboot in 2008 as well. That was not as well received.
Yes, it is. Andromeda Strain is right there in the middle of the psycho intensive, dull 70s sci-fi. Right up there with Star Trek 1.
Michael Crichton.
I remember. Y'all remember Star Trek 1?
No.
Where they spent a good half an hour, I think what it felt like a half an hour, just going around the outside of the ship. Just look, it's the ship.
Look
Look.
at what we've done.
It's the Enterprise. We're gonna get in at some point. It's the ship.
I must give a shout out to Malcolm Roy for his comment on the movie clips trailer for Sputnik. Aliens, but the Russian version. The alien only kills people by pushing them out a window.
Defenestration, the most classic of murders.
Just put a little polonium in their tea and they'll fall right out under mysterious circumstances.
We've
Yeah.
fucked with their
This is
equilibrium.
weird. And it's also, I don't know, it probably is going to be like a big copy of Alien because it's a IFC film and probably made by the Russians or the Chinese.
Oh, IFC.
They're all trying to steal our ideas. But who knows? I don't think this is a movie for me.
Speaking
I
of
don't. Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch it.
films from notoriously rough
Is it time?
studios.
Did we get to talk about it?
Huh?
Did we get to
Yes,
talk
it
about
is.
it? Yeah.
From Lionsgate, so you know it's good, comes Rogue.
A movie about a lion. All right, guys. So this is my new favorite trailer we've ever covered on the show. I need you to take this journey with me. So imagine, if you will, a special ops group. Now, think about all the actors and actresses that you know. What would be your least likely person to cast in that role? You got it? Okay, you're correct. It's Megan Fox.
I was gonna say Gilbert Godfrey. But that's because Gilbert Godfrey is my go-to answer for fucking everything.
Oh my god, Gilbert Godfrey would be a better pick than a more likely pick than Megan Fox for this.
Now, how do we know
Bravo
that
team,
it's a
go!
lion?
Breach!
Breach!
So
Breach!
this is ostensibly a horror movie about a special ops group that can't kill one single fucking lion that's attacking. And it has the greatest line, you know, the Air Force One trailer where Harrison Ford's like, get off my plane, and the Ransom trailer where Mel Gibson's like, give me back my son. Those are two of the greatest lines in trailer history. This has an exchange that I think rivals and perhaps even tops that, where Megan Fox asks the guy, how do you know it's a female lion? And the guy doesn't respond with the obvious, because it doesn't have a mane, you fucking idiot, and says, because the females are the real killers. Which is proven to be categorically false, because there are several female soldiers in this group and none of them can hit the broadside of a fucking barn. It's one fucking lion.
Yeah.
How do you extend this out for 90 minutes? And the CG is terrible.
Oh,
but
it's awful. They show you the
best
lion.
part of yeah.
Oh
The best part about it, though, is the CG isn't even the worst part of this trailer. Oh my god, I thought this was going to be a comedy. I honestly thought this was like, and it must be, right? It has to be a comedy. There's no way this movie was made with any amount of sincerity whatsoever. Because they have the scene where they're in the hallway and the guy's looking at the group and then they do the fucking, like, monster jumps off from the side and drags him away. But it's this fucking, like, Neil Breen in fucking Twisted Parapass or whatever, whichever one he discovered green screen, lion effect coming in.
They do the most bogus, like, just cheapo, like, elements of, like, suspense where the guy has, like, a night vision camera and he fumbles with the batteries he's gonna have a thing where he, like, goes to look through it and he's like, oh man, batteries are dead, better take out my Duracell AA.
And he opens his duffel bag and the lion jumps out the duffel bag to get him.
He looks through it again and the lion jumps at him. It's like, oh, Dad, did you jump at our jump scare?
Okay,
was Megan hoping that this was gonna be her, like, her big one where she's like, I get to be the lead in a movie this time?
Megan Fox.
I don't know.
More like Megan Lion.
Jeez. That was a better joke than the entire movie that we just watched the trailer
it was
for.
Awful. So I just wanted to look up to see if there was anything like maybe that lions going rogue was maybe a thing. Like, just maybe, like, that was a thing that happened before. And apparently it's only for, like, male lions. And it's, like, when they leave the pride. So, like, a female lion can't go rogue. It's, like, they can kill stuff. But, like, female lions usually don't.
I would like, if I could, to read the synopsis off of Movie Kids trailers. Megan Fox, Transformers, stylized to be all caps. Tackles a thrilling new role as a battle-hardened mercenary in this explosive action saga.
Wait, there's gonna be more than one? They're gonna do it with different
I can
types
only
of
hope.
cats?
I can only hope.
Rogue 2, The Lion's Den.
I have a pitch for the second one, Rogue 2. She returns to...
Well, we gotta listen to the first one first.
As team leader O'Hara, there's more. She leads a lively squad of soldiers on a daring mission. Rescue hostages from their captors in remote Africa. But as the mission goes awry and the team is stranded, O'Hara's squad must first face a bloody, brutal encounter with a gang of rebels and the horde of ravenous, enraged lions they encounter.
It's more than one.
Oh, so it's a bunch of lions.
Is it a
I
horde or
only
is it
saw
one?
one.
They only talked about one. They were like, it's the rogue lion. Because
It's like the Doom movie where they had 5 extras, and they had to spread that out over the entire population of Mars.
Or I guarantee you they're going to have one of this shit where it's like at the end of the movie or closer towards the end of the movie, they kill the lion finally. And then they have the big reveal that there's actually like 4 or 5 lions that have been hunting them. It's like,
And that's your cliffhanger?
fucking no. No, I think they escape at the end of this movie. Okay, they rescue the governor's daughter, whatever the shit there is. And Megan Fox is like, time to go on vacation. So she goes home to Orlando, Florida,
Orlando?
where there's a... or Oklahoma, wherever one of the big cat states are, where they have from Tiger...
Oh, I see where you're going
Tiger-
with this.
Wouldn't she go down to Tampa?
Or is it Tampa?
Where that
Tampa.
where that bitch
Big
Carol
cat-
Baskins
yeah.
lives?
So the Big Cat Rescue has a problem, and all the tigers get loose, and she's the only one that can stop them by killing
Y'all
them.
ever... That actually reminds me, Jake. Oh, God. Y'all ever heard of that movie Roar?
No, I only
The
know
Katy
the
Perry
song.
music video?
No. The crazy big cat person video where they have like 40 lions, like this family, like IRL. There's like a family that has like 40 lions they keep on their preserve, and they decided to make a movie.
Oh,
About, like, ooh,
right.
scary-
Yes. I
the
remember
scary
that best of the
lions.
worst. I remember that best of the worst.
Yes, and they just let 40 lions loose on the property.
And
And
elephants.
just said, yeah, they just like, they won't kill us. With no logic behind it, they're like, we'll film this movie and use them as like event props and shit, but they totally won't kill us. As like several actors get their actual limbs broken on screen.
Yeah, I think the family starred and like the wife had her leg broken by an elephant who was lifting her by the leg with its
Yes.
trunk. And it's like, who the fuck thought this was a good idea? Like, it's the best horror movie ever because you're legitimately unsure about the safety of the actors. It's very meta idea for horror.
Post horror. Yeah. So Rogue. What a movie.
I'm excited.
Neither of you guys watch Spinster, right?
No.
Okay, then we won't talk about it. It's Chelsea Peretti, in a nonity. It's like lighthearted, but I wouldn't call it a comedy because there's nothing that I would consider a joke in there. Let's just pass right over it.
Alrighty.
Let's just keep going on to Archer.
Yeah, I won't make that joke. So Archer, season 11, a show I was not sure was still running. They're back to doing spy stuff again. So everyone who's been waiting for that finally gets
We
it.
talked extensively behind the scenes about this, and I pitched this that after so many seasons of other stuff, which we've all talked that we stopped watching it serially, like, in order around the time of the first one, where he was Archer in Dreamland.
Yeah.
Or whatever, but I feel like a lot of people felt that way about Archer, and the Fox went to the director and was like, hey, you gotta like make another, if you want to keep your contract, you gotta make another actual season of show. Like it's gotta follow up from the last season, and not Archer on a pirate ship for 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly.
what did they-
He's
what
like,
did they
all
do?
right,
They did,
because I've heard that the guy who directs this, or the whoever's the brains behind this operation, I don't know his name, but I do remember that he's not the kind of guy who likes to stick on one project for long periods of time. He's always looking at new ideas, and I think he just got creatively a little kind of down in the doldrums with Archer around season 10. So he's like, all right, let's do Archer in space. Let's do Archer on a tiki island. Let's do Archer on a 1920s gang.
Here are the spin-offs. There's Archer Vice, which was a Miami Vice spin-off season. That was season 5. I didn't really care for that too much. And then they did Archer in Dreamland, where they were all private dicks. And then they did Archer Danger Island, which was...
It was think Casablanca kind of style, but it's on a tiki island, and there's safari and mystery adventure.
Yeah. And then the most recent one was Archer 1999, which was in space.
Huh. I must have missed that because I had heard of the Archer Casablanca stuff where they're on the island.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, I stopped watching in Dreamland.
Like Kirby did. I remember that.
Remember the animated series Kirby Right Back at You?
I do. What a show.
It was certainly a show.
Well, I don't know if this is less than like some of the other seasons, but Archer season 10 only had 9 episodes.
Yeah, most of the more recent ones have only been like 9, like max 10.
What was the main one?
Very
10 for
very short.
They used to be like I don't think they were ever really more than 13 as a pop though.
season 6 was 13. That was I think where they left off. Well, Vice still had 13, but Vice I think was still had stuff to do with the plot. It just they like changed jobs.
Yeah, I mean they tried to serialize Vice, but it was like such a dramatic tonal shift, and like it really wasn't that good a season. Yeah, it had potential, but they didn't really do anything interesting with the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because rather than being about them like doing Miami Vice stuff, they did a whole plot where Carol was a country singer and
outlaw country.
Yeah,
and fucking
and
Pam got
cocaine.
Skinny from all the cocaine.
Yeah, they were selling. Pam got out. There were a couple episodes that I watched. Yeah, Miami Vice.
But yeah, I remember Peter and I watched quite a few of those episodes together, and we're like, yeah, this just isn't that great.
Just not there. We should mention that this is coming out this week. This trailer came out this week along with a lot of other trailers, again, because it is Comic-Con. And I would be remiss if I didn't have a shout out to one of the shows I enjoy, one of the cartoon shows I enjoyed, which is getting a 3rd season. That's Infinity Train.
Choo choo.
Oh, yeah,
you all remember I gave my review of that a while ago,
yeah.
And the 3rd season is out, and it's going to follow the apocalyptic apex cult as they try and figure out the mystery of a girl who looks like a passenger, but something's weird about her.
Speaking of mysteries, we once again will attempt to solve the mystery of where the fuck are these re-release totals in the box office score. In our box office and review roundup segment, the follow-up. So last week, Jake, I don't know if you listened to the show, the box office report showed all these re-releases. Like, I think the number 1 movie in America was Empire Strikes Back.
Yep. Oh, I see it. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
But this week, once again, they have mysteriously vanished.
Yeah. You go back a week, you just click the week back tab. It's like, boom, 22 box office, like, tabs. Star Wars, BP, IO. Trying to just save time. First 2 letters, Inside Out. The Goonies, that's really cool. I like that. The Gremlins, that's a nice, refreshing one.
But yeah, no, now it's here. They're gone, I guess. I don't know how. I'm sure they're still in theaters. I don't know how Box Office Mojo collects its data. it's probably just been shitting itself with the pandemic. They're just like, I don't care.
There's
Just whatever
two guys.
IFC's got out in theaters right now.
There's two guys who just have some code written up to where it automatically goes over, and they have to like edit it if they want those bonus ones.
So making a dramatic rise from 6th place last week to 1st this week is Relic, a movie we've discussed. That's the Alzheimer's horror movie.
Alzheimer's Association related movie.
Down 16.1% from last week to just on about 164K and 133 theaters. Archive jumped 10 spots from 12th to 2nd in its second week, despite losing nearly a quarter of its total gross, bringing in just under $39,000 in 18 theaters for a dominant this week per theater average of $2,155. And it also happens to be our spotlight film for this week. So Archive currently sits at a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb. I think that's up from when I checked it this morning. I remember it being a 6.0. So someone submitted reviews to bring that average up. What's it got on Rotten Tomatoes? Let's just take a little peek at that. Archive, Rotten Tomatoes. Currently has a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes off of only 22 reviews. So we're going to look at some reviews ourselves. They're going to be IMDb user reviews. So how this segment works is that we read 2 each with some leeway for like short blurby ones that are funny. I read a couple positive reviews, Jake reads a couple negative reviews, and Peter plays the role of voice of reason, reading a few middling reviews.
Rarely happens.
So I'll start off here with a review from John LKH titled "Sad Ending, period." Surprisingly, no punctuation after the period.
Oh, good.
9 out of 10, submitted July 14th, 2020. Grade 8 movies, but it flushes me with extreme griefs and sadness. Had to take half an hours, there's no space between and hours, to recollect myself. I started to regret seeing it. Sad ending indeed. Sigh, double ellipses. I doubted my life after watching it, I really do. Double ellipses. The movie is good. Good is randomly capitalized, don't get me wrong, after 30, that's supposed to be minutes, but it's spelled MINITS, and there's no space between it and 30.
Oh, minutes. I like it. It's modern. It's poppy for the modern age.
I'm still sitting and thinking, what the hell is going on? And it concludes with another double ellipses. 1 out of 2 people found this helpful.
Makes sense.
Okay, cool.
You do.
Well, this one's a bit of a long one, so I'll try to read quickly through it. Truth Seeker for Life is not impressed.
He's a truther.
He's a truth seeker, so this has to be the truth. The story starts out interesting but fades. They try to encourage the idea that humans are just things you can... Oh, this is 1 out of 10, by the way, in case you didn't get that. They try to encourage the idea that humans are just things you can put on floppy disk, and so long as you have the floppy disk of so you can retain them for as long as you like. These types of movies are highly concerning to me because there is a coldness, a lack of humility, and all the existential questions of mankind rest in a computer, which is dull and boring to say the least. The acting was meh, ellipses. This dude has to hold the whole movie and he couldn't do it. For 2 reasons. He isn't that good, and he doesn't fit the role of a nerdy scientist. Hollywood always wants to make things so unrealistic. I mean, even in some of the Egyptian movies, which we all know were either brown or black, cast white dudes. I am white. Parentheses, I am white. Thanks.
Okay.
and
Good
to
lather
know.
tanning lotion all over them, which is just so unrealistic. These are propaganda movies that prepare us for the near future of AI and machines eventually take all our jobs away. And they're trying to get us to like AI, make them seem like they have souls, and pretty soon they will be able to vote and have civil rights. I mean, where this movie was headed was the right in that direction. A big pity party for machines, which they imply we are biological machines, but until we find our creator, they don't know what instilled consciousness into mankind. Lastly, I want to point out once again, in the next 10 to 20 years, robots will be taking all our jobs. And what are people to do then? It's why I keep fitting reasons to get us to fight each other, because it won't be long until we realize that too late. And they'll have an army of these things controlled by the few and used on the many. If mankind doesn't begin to work together, then when AI is developed to the point it is getting, we will be easily replaced able. That's not right. And the majority of mankind will no longer be a necessary nuisance. Anyways, boy, that was propaganda piece.
Yeah, man needed to stop writing 2 tabs ago.
That
2 tabs of acid ago.
started at like a 3, but cranked up to a 12 so quick at the end.
Just so not into these AI propaganda pieces, so better write a propaganda piece about AI.
They're all gonna take our jobs. That's what the kid us to feel sympathetic.
Take a note from Red Foreman and take a foot up the ass.
That was
Get this man a fucking puppers.
Gus and Brew.
Oh, God. All right. Well, from there we have Xavier Stone, who I think we've seen a few times.
Sounds familiar.
I think he's a recurring guy. This is a 6 out of 10. Keep in mind. Great visuals, but the same old AI story rehashed a bit. I'm sure it was supposed to be visuals, but he does fine. I'll give him this. Don't worry about it. All right, the special effects and drone camera work are great, and this film could have been amazing. A poor, worn-out storyline about AI and its usual drawbacks are given a slight variant, but it's mostly similar to other movies with the same subject line, and requiring a single actor to carry 90% of the film. Moon with Sam Rockwell did it
Love
best,
that
and
movie.
this tries to match the effort with subpar results. Perhaps we can all agree that this avenue is a wrap and move on to another aspect with AI movies. 11 out of 18 found it helpful.
I second Moon as being a great movie.
Yeah. Good job. Good look, Xavier.
Okay, so I just want to. This is a quick blurby one from Dion Pangallo. Amazeballs, 10 out of 10, July 12th. At Amazeballs, exclamation point, and then the review body starts at just how dumb this is. Yeah, big budget and killer CGI, but no real substance. 2 periods in a space. Meh. 6 out of 26 found that helpful. My real one, Traveling This World has a review. It's a 10 out of 10 from July 10th, 2020. An incredibly written / directed first film for Rothery. Hours later, I'm still thinking about this film. Captain Rothery, the author of this review, has created an otherworldly environment that is both ethereal and industrial at the same time. I could do ethereal. Can that even be a thing? But it is. That's a parenthetical. The J3
parenthetical.
the J3 sequence, another parenthetical here. When you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Is super bad -a $$
Oh
cool.
my God.
Period. It's
The internet, you can swear.
it's indescribable. That's its own sentence. The cinematography is stunning and the score is gorgeous. I think you should switch those adjectives there. Kudos to Theo James and Stacey Parton for their stellar performances. Without saying too much, the ending will leave you gobsmacked in need of a rewatch. 20 out of 39 found that helpful.
I'm glad he got paid to write that by the director.
I feel like the director is also the author of that review. Let's
I
see
think
if
the
he has any
director
other reviews.
Probably goes by a lot of pseudonyms.
Okay, He's been an IMDb member for 2 months. He has 1 review total, and it is of Archive.
Huh.
That's not
See?
suspicious at all.
Smell something fishy. A 1 out of 10. Bad copy of Ex Machina by Undoing. Didn't plan to post a review, but reading all these fake 10-star reviews, I decided to do so. This movie is just a wannabe Ex Machina. Boring script, cheap graphics, men dressed as robots, Papa John's. No, I wish you said that, but men dressed as robots, etc. I suggest you watch something else. 0 out of 0 people found this helpful, but I found it helpful.
No one cared.
I wouldn't have been surprised if Papa John's was there, because last week we had a plug for Pizza Pipeline Cinnamon Trixie Sticks and some zesty cheesy bread.
Forgot about that.
That's awesome.
You know, Pizza Pipeline, the 2-store chain out of fucking Oregon.
You know, this is an untapped. This is an untapped oil well of like advertising goodness. We could they just have like Pizza Hut and Papa John's to start reviewing stuff and be like, I sat down with my Papa John's cheesy bread Papa pizza pan.
Papadillas, Jake. It's a papadilla. They folded 2 slices of pizza and they made it a sandwich.
It's totally not a calzone. It's different.
I had the brand new Papadilla. I ate it so easily. And then I had some marinara sauce with the Papa John's. Say Papa John's like 26 times in a review. And
Barely mention the movie.
Barely mention the movie. Have all your cronies say I found this helpful. 10-star review.
It's there. We could do it.
I don't know.
It was effective because after I read that review, I did want to try some Pizza Pipeline Cinnamon Trixie Sticks.
Mostly because I wanted just a pizza pipeline. Like, I want a tube that's just filled with pizza fillings.
Yeah,
that's the future, Peter.
Great.
Forget the Keystone Pipeline. Let's build that pizza pipeline from Washington State to New Jersey.
Get a tube of pizza and just.
It's just a giant pneumatic tube, like at the bank. You just stick the pizza in it, and it goes thump, across the country.
I think that's actually the collective project of all the kids at Aid Food Hall. Like, some of them, that's what you get your mechie degree, and you're upgrading the pizza-o-matic all the way to a full automated system.
All right, let's be honest, Peter. None of the mechies that graduate from Alfred would be capable of such a feat.
It's true.
They didn't even know how to use power tools.
Oh, that's so true. All right. Let's wrap this up here with Teacher Mark Thailand's review, 4 out of 10. Now, I pre-read this, and this review takes a left turn. I will give you this now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Strap in. Like, it's all right. First off, most people are going to figure out the great reveal within half an hour. I guessed it early on and was proved right. You probably will too. This could easily have been a good 1-hour episode of Black Mirror, but instead lots of things were crowbarred into the silly corporations are evil, or corporations are bad motif, just to spin it out for that extra hour. Excellent special effects and a pretty decent atmosphere don't make a compelling movie. There have to be some engaging characters, some sense of narrative direction, and a modicum of originality, and this is where the movie stumbles. The good-looking chap, straight from the cover of GQ, is alone in a remote lab, busy putting together a robot to house the consciousness of his dead and equally good-looking wife. Both of these people are annoying and do stupid things. It's like a Hallmark movie set in space. But the biggest sin of all is a filmmaker who thinks that women give a hoot about sci-fi. They do not, so stop trying to win them over with this sappy rubbish and focus on what men want instead. A big and predictable disappointment.
That went from a review written by anyone to a review written by Jake in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
16 out of 59 found this helpful. Just, I saw this. I was browsing, like, I saw that last paragraph. I'm like, oh, he just went straight.
Get these godforsaken women and love stories out of our
Out of my sci-fi.
I want aliens and robots killing each other.
Yeah.
What's wrong with some man-on-man love interest?
Like, it turned into our favorite, like, spam account for a second there.
Yeah. I mean, like, there is a broader point to that sort of criticism where, like, certain types of movies are trying to market to an audience that will never see their movie. But that ain't it, Chief. That wasn't the way to make the argument. All right, so that was the number 2 movie in America, followed by Followed, which didn't even chart last week, but it's number 3 this week, down 1.9%, 75 theaters. The Wretched made about 10K in 34 theaters. Becky made 6K in 15 theaters. That was actually up 5 from the previous week. Human Capital opened in 6 and 12 theaters, $4,000 total, $360 per theater. The Truth, up 24.5% to $2,000, made $175 per theater. Guest Artist made $1,000 in 2 theaters, and that was up 6.4% from last week. The Last Tree made $781 in 65 theaters for a per theater average of $12. 2 people per theater. Actually, that could be 1, depending upon where that theater is.
Yeah.
The Painted Bird opened in 10th with $452 in 6 theaters. These are some really depressing sums.
Yeah, these are really... This is sad.
The Painted Bird has made $754 domestic, $577 international.
Then again, who right now during the middle of a pandemic wants to go see a movie about a young Jewish boy somewhere in Eastern Europe seeking refuge during World War II, where he encounters many different characters? Could be Hitler.
You know what they really have to fucking do? I know I can save fucking theaters right now.
All right, do it.
All right, step 1. Allow alcohol. Allow them to bring in alcohol.
AMC does already.
If you're over 21. Step 2, reduce the cost for four-walling a building, for four-walling a theater, and open it up and advertise it. With the caveat that you have a small group. No one's going to four-wall and try and bring in a full theater. You can't do that. That's fucked. So just bring it down from like 400 to like 50, 60, and bring five of your friends, whoever your friends, and just like, here, play whatever movie you want in this giant ass theater for an hour. Go for it. Rent it out, and just rent the space to
That's
people.
interesting. Yeah.
That way, every theater you can get more butts and seats. Butts and seats.
Butts and seats.
Butts and seats.
Yeah, you might run into logistical issues with that, but
I wonder what stopped them. I wonder if it was just simply like corporate just shutting everything down or what.
I don't know if you can actually four-wall an AMC or something or anything like that. For those, I guess I should at least try to explain it as I understand it. Four-walling is when you pay for all the tickets in a theater. You just buy out the theater for a showing of whatever movie you want, and then you get to sell the tickets to recoup the costs.
When you said four-wall,
so basically, if you're making,
I was a little confused because three-walling is a thing you do in pool when you don't have a legal shot. If you hit 3 of the bumpers on the wall, it's not a scratch.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah. Remember in Dolomite Is My Name, where when he wanted to screen the movie, he had to go to the movie theater and he paid $400 to four-wall it, and then he sold all the tickets and it sold like fucking gangbusters. And
right.
If you don't have a distribution company, you can do it through like a big Hollywood firm where they're just like, here, everybody take my movie and play it in your theater. You got to do that.
Take a bite.
Okay. You got to four-wall it.
All right.
And it's not that hard.
No. Speaking of things that aren't hard, it's not hard to find stories about video games in these pandemic times, as they are the far and away most popular form of media right now. And as a follow-up to a story we read a while ago, in which we discussed how 2K had increased the price of its latest NBA game to $70, we have some good news on that front coming from Ubisoft, of all places, that have confirmed their commitment to keeping game costs for next-gen consoles at $60, at least for this fall. But he said on its earnings call Wednesday. For the record, Ubisoft will be launching Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion on the PS5 this year, which means that both those games will not cost a penny more than their PS4 equivalents. However, it remains to be seen if that promise will extend beyond this fall into next year. But at least not every game is going to cost you $70. This week was the Xbox Game Showcase. Lots of news and stories coming out of that.
I got fucking hyped for Halo Infinite. But it also caused the internet to be like, it caused a schism in the fan base. It seems like there's some diehard fans that seem like they don't like the graphics as much. They don't like some of the design choices that they made, making it open world.
I am one of the skeptics about the shift to open world design. I don't really know that Halo is the type of game to support an open world, and I am very much against doing an open world for the sake of doing an open world.
I'm almost hesitant to call it an open world. That's what they're calling it, but like, I think they're just allowing you a little bit more freedom on what you want to do first. The only example they gave in the gameplay was that your mission was to destroy 3 like gun batteries. So go to 3 different locations, blow them up.
Oh.
And you can do that in any order you want, instead of a more linear campaign of like, go here, then here, then here.
Is it like Destroy All Humans, where they just plop you in a giant level and give you a bunch of fucking objectives?
Possibly. They didn't really show
Is
a
it one of,
ton in the
like-
trailer.
It's hard. I can't give a
Okay.
definite answer.
That might be one of those games.
The only thing that I saw, the one thing that we did see was like he went and his objective was to destroy those 3 locations, and you could do the one behind you first, you could do the one in front of you first. It didn't really matter. It was kind of open, and maybe they're saying it's more open world because there's less like the loading screens, like you get to a new area, then you have to load into the new area, and so they're not going to have that. I don't know. I think it's a little early to.
I imagine if the
criticize the open
developers
world.
themselves are calling it an open world game, they're going to try to make it in the vein of all the other open world games that we've been getting for the past few years. And I don't know what that's going to look like for Halo, personally.
Exactly.
but
I don't know how it would work.
Yeah, I do want to touch on the people talking about the graphics. The game isn't finished yet, you
No.
dingus.
Yeah.
These aren't final versions of the graphics.
I mean, granted, they have a point when we only have like 5 months left, right? I'm guessing it.
Well,
What is it? Yeah, 1,
I'll
4.
I'll speak in there. I'll advocate for them in this case. Just only in that if they have this mondo gigantic game studio that that AAA development should necessitate, or I feel like if you're making a AAA game, hopefully you've put that into a big team and you're not nickel and diming everything, guys.
Yeah.
Please. You're gonna have, I guess, multi-thread, basically multi-thread development here. So it's more useful to think of it that the graphics team has full 5 months, and the game development team also has a full 5 months.
Yeah.
I personally respect Microsoft's choice of showing real game footage rather than faking it with a cinematic like Anthem. where the game wasn't
Yeah.
even starting development by the time they showed the E3 trailer.
Yeah.
That's a fucking crazy story. But I respect it. I think it's a level of transparency that I would like to see more from game studios. There are a couple other games from this that I personally am excited about. The new Fable looks good. They've gone back from the steampunk setting of Fable 3 to the more medieval fantasy setting of the first two games, and it looks very much in the same vein as the original Fables, the Lionhead Studios Fables. Forza Horizon Studio is developing this one, and it looks good. Also, Obsidian showed off a new game, Avowed. It's set in their Pillars of Eternity universe. It is a first-person RPG that is being described as part Elder Scrolls and part Doctor Strange. I'm a big fan of Obsidian. They've developed a lot of games that I've liked, such as Fallout New Vegas, Knights of the Old Republic 2, South Park Stick of Truth. They got a solid track record. I haven't played Pillars of Eternity, but I've heard it's good. And they also did The Outer Worlds most recently, which I also haven't played yet. I've heard mixed things on that, though. So I'm excited for Avowed, and I'm excited for the new Fable game. And that, and plus Halo, are the big announcements to come out of this. So it looks like the Xbox One X, in contrast to the Xbox One, will have a decent launch lineup of exclusives.
Yeah, but also remember, I mean, I think Halo Infinite's getting released on the PC when it gets launched as well.
Well, everything that Microsoft does comes to the
So it's
PC.
like-
So exclusive in air quotes. But
Okay, yeah, exclusives in air quotes. You can still get on the PC, which I guess is good. Because at first I was thinking maybe it's just going to be out on the PC or out on the Xbox first, and then PC later. And I'm like, I might pick up an Xbox, One or a Series X or something like that. But I'm like, no.
they're
Yeah,
also really pushing Game Pass hard.
Yeah.
So they're going. Let's see, what was the story here? Xbox Game Showcase was the best advertisement for Game Pass yet, as every single game shown, all 22 of them, is launching into Game Pass. So they're really trying to push Game Pass as the Netflix of video games by putting new releases like Halo Infinite, Everwild, Hellblade 2, State of Decay 3, Fable, and Avowed, as well as notable third-party releases like Stalker 2, Destiny 2, and Destiny 2's Beyond Light expansion, Warhammer 40k Darktide. They already, Xbox Game Pass was and is incredibly compelling and leagues ahead of anything its competitors offer. But as Xbox Game Studios' newly planned first-party trees start to bear fruit, it's going to lift the platform up with it. That was the one criticism I had of Xbox Game Pass when I looked into it, because it is pretty reasonable. You can get for like there's a lower tier that's like $5 a month, and then there's the Ultimate Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for like $15 a month, which is pretty good rates. But when I looked at it, number one, there weren't a ton of games that I either A, hadn't already played, or B, had a great interest in playing. And number two, there weren't many new releases, which I thought would be a sticking point, because like at a certain point, at least being a PC gamer, if you like wait a year after release, you can get that new game for like less than the month of Game Pass, which if it's a significantly long game, you're probably going to be playing it for a month and not much else on the Game Pass. So I think that's a good move. They're really betting on this, and I hope it works out in the end. They bet on streaming when Panasonic and Sony were battling out with HD DVD and Blu-ray. Microsoft bet on streaming and came out ahead of that. So they've got a good track record for predicting the future.
Yeah, and there's also some bonus stuff that you get with the Ultimate pass, you get so if you do get the ultimate, the more expensive one, you get Xbox Live included with it because you can also get for the console and the PC as well.
Yes.
So it's a little bit of a bundle. So you're trying to save money with Ultimate if you have both. And I think right now, yeah, it's like $5.99 or $4.99 for the normal just console or PC.
Yeah. Also, on that note, the Xbox Live thing reminded me, Microsoft is no longer selling 12-month subscription passes to Xbox Live. You have to buy it monthly now.
Oh.
Well, that was nice because you could always get kind of a discount if you know you're gonna play for a year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like there's
that's
like
why I'm going
$60 a year on paper, but back when I had my Xbox 360, you could go on Amazon, you could find a sale, you could usually end up getting a 12-month subscription to Xbox Live for a little over $30, which was always great. But now they don't do that anymore, so fuck me, I guess. Well, not that I pay for Xbox Live anymore.
Yeah.
I don't like paying for permission to use my own internet.
I like just connecting.
PS4 is adding a long overdue feature to the PSN, and that feature is two-factor authentication. It is for now available only via SMS or text message. So it can't be used with any authenticator apps, but it is a security feature that surprisingly they did not implement sooner, seeing as how famously the PS3 had a hack where the PSN was down for a couple months, and everyone got 2-3 games out of it. Infamous was one of my Infamous and Little Big Planet 2, I think, were the 2-3 games I claimed. Good times.
Good.
Epic Game Store has 2 free games up right now. Tacoma, a sci-fi narrative adventure from the creators of Gone Home. Set aboard a high-tech space station in the year 2088. Explore every detail of how the station's crew lived and worked, finding the clues and add to a gripping story of trust, fear, and resolve in the face of disaster. That is normally $20. It was released in 2017, but you can pick it up for free now. And the other one is Next Up Hero. Next Up Hero is a gauntlet-style dungeon crawler starring hand-drawn heroes that hack, slash, shoot, drum, boomerang, jet, and explode their way through adventures. Choose your hero and or invite a friend to co-op and start rolling dungeons, gearing out, maximizing your stats against the vile monsters known as the Ceaseless Dirge. Originally released in 2018, normally retails for $20. But is currently free on Epic. I might pick. I'll definitely at least pick up Next Up Hero. That sounds like my sort of jam.
Zelda wacky hacky backy.
Yeah, my little dungeon crawling roguelite. That's all I had for gaming news. I don't have a gaming review. I was actually planning to review Power Rangers Jungle Fury, but I forgot to do that. I can do that briefly here. It's okay. It's not the best season. Casey, the Red Ranger, has a good character arc. Daishi is a very interesting villain. But other than RJ, I didn't really give a shit about any of the other characters. They leaned a little heavily into the more comedic elements in the beginning, which I didn't care for. And it's worth a watch. I'd say it's a solid middle of the road season. It's not the worst season of Power Rangers I've ever seen, but I saw a list that had it as like number 5 in their top 10 over Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was number 8 on their top 10, and I had to check it out. And having seen it, no, that is incorrect. It might be a top 10 season. I'd have to think about it, but it certainly is not number 5 and certainly is not above Dino Thunder and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and
or In Space.
Well, In Space was number 1 on their list, of course. Okay. But yeah, it is certainly not. On their list, it beat out SPD, Dino Thunder, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Lightspeed Rescue.
Wow. Oh, good. It's a trustworthy list right there.
I mean, everyone to each their own. He really praised the dynamic between Daishi and the Red Ranger, which was the best part of the series, but it's only part of the season. So could have been better, could have been worse. So I guess with that, we will talk about Lighthouse, which I have the same general evaluation of. Could have been better, could have been worse.
It was weird.
Lighthouse, nothing but Lighthouse.
You know what? I'll say what I like about it. The acting from like both Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe definitely believable. Wow, like really, really
Willem
solid
Dafoe
acting.
fucking
Like
steals it. He's the best crusty, salty seaman I've ever
Pattinson,
seen.
Yeah.
For most of the movie, doesn't live up to Dafoe. He has a couple good moments.
Oh yeah, he's easily outshined.
He has
by
one good
Dafoe.
rant.
I mean, Dafoe just has such a range of like emotions, and that might be the reason. Also, because he probably was written a lot differently. Because they're two very different characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the way that William Dafoe could just flip flop between different mentalities and states of mind so fluidly, and his monologues are fucking amazing. And meanwhile, Robert Pattinson, he does some of the like some comedy bits where it's like just.
It's got jokes. This movie has jokes.
This movie does have jokes.
It's important.
It has
found
the
myself
Jason
laughing
X
quite a bit.
moment in it. Which made
Which
me,
one?
The one where he just fucking smashes the seagull against the rock for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is happening? I'm like, dude, you're ridiculous. And just like throwing out the what I guess is chamber pots.
Bedpans,
You know,
Yeah, he throws out the shit-filled chamber pots into the wind
it
and they
splashes
go right back
at
on his
him. I'm like,
face.
oh.
I was like,
But like,
I haven't seen
I
that,
feel that.
since Cheaper by the Dozen.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
and yeah, so but yeah, William Dafoe is by far it. If there's an Academy Awards, I hope he gets nominated for this.
Well, this was a 2019
was this already-
release.
Was
it
this already
yeah.
nominated for stuff?
It was nominated for one Academy Award for Best Cinematography.
Understandable, yeah.
Oh, and that's because they used authentic
That's kind of a
lenses and film
snub, I think,
techniques for the period.
Best Supporting Actor for Defoe. But here's the thing about this movie.
For sure.
He was
The
supporting
acting
it?
is really good. However, the writing is not good. It's just a string of monologues that allow the actors to really, put their ankles in it. But when you remove the delivery and just analyze what's said in the context of a broader story, this is a very nonsensical tale. There is,
Yeah.
at least in the beginning, there is a plot thread that can be followed. But once the storm comes, any sort of pretense of this being a coherent movie is thrown out the fucking window. Which
Yeah.
Let's
Jake,
can be the point.
how did your viewing compare?
Huh?
Because I told you to take an intermission.
I did not take an
as
intermission.
the storm hits.
Okay. I just watched it all the way through. However, I kind of noticed when you where the intermission was, kind of where the transition between the crazy shit happening, and that was pretty much when he started drinking. Was almost about that time. That then it gets a little chaotic. It gets really, really chaotic when the drinking starts, and I think that's on purpose. So I think that might be a fault of the movie, but I think it was a purposeful decision to make
Yes.
things a lot more chaotic and kind of like hard to follow. One of the other things I noticed is like the state of the house that they're in. It as they themselves start to devolve mentally and start to go insane, the state of the house seems to fall apart as well. I mean, like, you see leaks start appearing more often, clutters everywhere. They're not picking up stuff, so it's like really it adds to the claustrophobia that's already there because of the square framing of the movie because it was shot with different lenses.
Yeah, it
And
was
I
an
would-
old school.
I would say that this is in one of the in a strict way, sort of maybe not the traditional use of this term, but I would call this an experimental film in that the first watching, I don't think any of us have come out with a consistent thesis of what this movie was trying to say. But it wiggled its eyebrows at you as like, oh, themes, symbolism. So I would call this an experimental movie because if you are interested by this movie, I don't think I would go back for a second watching, but I'm sure a fair few people would. And I think the best way to do it is you craft a theory, and then you go back with that theory and you test it as you watch. And the movie is the experiment where you apply your whatever theming or thesis you've devised for this, and you sort of lay it over top, and you see how well it matches up. Like the foghorn plays at times, and I'm like, that's gotta be a thing. That's gotta be a something. Maybe when stuff happens, it makes a sound, and then sometimes it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of small bits and pieces of this that can be analyzed to an extent, like the foghorn, and whether or not that's contributing to the madness. The constant, like, it's not happening all the time, but it's like you have that repetitive.
Just what the
notion
fuck is
that
up with
they're
the
there for, like,
lantern?
months. Yeah, what's up with the lighthouse? Like, what is that? Like, that was insane. And the mermaid stuff too. It's like, is that real? Because it also takes you on these like weird dream sequences, and you're like, did that just happen? Like,
so yeah, that's kind of.
You never know. I think we should get into spoilers.
Yeah. All right. So the general I guess the general recommendation is if you know you're going in to something that is an art house movie, like this is not a movie for general audiences, I don't think.
You're not going to see a Marvel movie.
This is definitely an art house film festival kind of movie. If you're not into that, you will not enjoy this. I barely enjoyed this, and I'm not a super art house guy, but I do watch a lot of, independent films.
I mean, you're a fan of the classics. I mean, I'm looking at you, the poster right behind your face. Is fucking The Day the Earth Stood Still.
And it's just I think it went a little too far in too many places. I can see several interpretations of what the messaging of the film was supposed to be, and I understand it. It's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, you're just saying you didn't like it that much because you didn't get it. Like, I get it. At least I'm pretty sure I do. But at the same time, I've seen it done in a more entertaining fashion.
I would also throw out there that you didn't like it because you didn't get it is not an invalid excuse for not liking a movie. That's what we call being dense. If a movie is way the fuck out there and it's not making its themes accessible, I'm totally fine in not liking it because I don't want to have to watch it twice to understand what the fuck's going on.
And a movie that's only good for a few select people who are like, I'm going to break down every shot scene by scene, pause multiple times so I can think about it, write down like several notes and psychoanalyze every single bit about it. A movie that's only good for those amount of people, which I think this movie was meant for those kind of people, I don't think necessarily, more often than not, it's not going to be the great movie. The better movies have that aspect where you can do that, but also give a little to the general audience to where you can watch and understand and follow along on a plot of a movie and enjoy what happens along the way.
I think Forbidden
And if you
Planet
wanna
is a good
dive deeper, you
example.
can.
of
It should look effortless.
Yeah, and this didn't have that. This wasn't a simple plot that you could follow the story and be happy with the plot. I mean, if you want to break down the plot as like how simple it was, this old C wiki gets a new assistant, and
it's supposed to be
they both go
4-week.
insane.
Yeah, it's
and they get
supposed
drunk.
Zany adventures ensue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk more about plot when we get to spoilers.
But yeah, like I guess that was my most
Which I-
spoiler-free plot review was these two C wikis get drunk and one goes mad and it's
But does he,
shenanigans
though?
ensue.
But do we though? Yeah. Let's get into
All
it.
right, so this is the Lighthouse. The general plot thread that it's pretty clear in the beginning. So Robert Pattinson is a new hire for this Lighthouse. He's going to be the wiki assistant to Willem Dafoe's character, and it's supposed to only be a 4-week tour. Immediately, some oddities are happening. Willem Dafoe has been at this Lighthouse for God knows how long. So he comes into this already maybe a couple screws loose upstairs.
Yeah.
He shows a blatant disregard for the regulations and their manual, which Pattinson's character references continually. So it's supposed to be only a 4-week tour. The first oddity he notices is there's a hole in his bedroll when it gets rolled out, and it has a limestone carving of a mermaid in there, which he masturbates to furiously several times in the movie.
The Scrimshaw trinket.
And so, like I said, it's only supposed to be a 4-week tour, but the day before he's set to be relieved, a massive storm blows through, and they are stranded. And he turns to drinking, and they run out of liquor, so they have to make more booze out of turpentine and honey.
I don't know, turpentine and kerosene. I saw too.
Maybe it was kerosene.
The reviews were saying kerosene, but I thought I saw turpentine.
I saw turpentine.
Right,
yeah.
that's the bottom. But kerosene is a thick. Kerosene is it can be a thick oil.
Oh.
I'm fairly sure, like a torchlight sort of deal.
Yeah, and they were adding honey to it to make it a little bit sweeter.
a
I'm
little
like,
more palatable.
these guys are dedicated to getting drunk.
And
Just
Although this feels like weirdly nostalgic for me, all of the tones of this, because one of the soundtracks of my youth was Great Big Sea, which was a Newfoundland folk band playing all the 1800s logger shanties. So like seeing the lighthouse keeper and the timberman in this fucking like old cottage house, which reminded me a lot of, in some ways reminds me of my own house. Take of that what you will.
also, this is it should be mentioned. It's loosely, like really loosely, based off of a old actual event that happened.
Okay.
I guess
It's also loosely based on the tale of
There was
Prometheus.
also
and
loosely-
Proteus, yeah.
loosely based on Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Lighthouse. Most of the Poe themes were removed in the final version, but there are a couple of homages in there. A lot of phallic imagery in there. There's definitely some harped on homoeroticism throughout the movie.
The lighthouse itself is supposed to, I think actually when it was described in the movie or something like that, or described by Robert Eggers, it's that the lighthouse was supposed to be a phallic reference or have some phallic imagery to it.
I read that at one point they wanted to intersperse shots of the lighthouse and Robert Pattinson's actual erect penis as he was masturbating. But the funders of the movie said, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, we
I'm
get it,
really
guys.
Glad they did.
We get it when they fucking fight and then hug.
Yes. So they're at,
And they're drunk and they're like dancing out together on the
as they
floor.
drink, they're still throughout the movie they're very adversarial to each other. Willem Dafoe wants to like break down Robert Pattinson, and even as they open up to each other through alcohol and they share their moments of levity together, there's always this very adversarial undertone to it, and that comes to a boiling point when their grips on reality become increasingly tenuous, and Robert Pattinson's character, who spends half the movie under the assumed name of Ephraim Winslow before revealing his name to actually be Thomas Howard, because
Similar to
they decided to throw
old,
that in there for some reason.
Similar to the old C wikis, the old guy's William Defoe's name, his character's name is Thomas Wake, and I believe I thought that was weird at first, and then I guess it kind of made sense if you look at it from the Proteus point of view.
Yeah. So
and all that jazz.
My theory, this isn't like my legitimate interpretation of the movie, but this is just what I came up with when I was like really bored watching this movie, is that this is the Lighthouse's purgatory. Robert Pattinson's character is dead. He died in the same accident as the real Ephraim Winslow, and the Lighthouse is his purgatory. And Willem Dafoe's character is like one of Poseidon's familiars or something like that, as he several times during his rants evokes Poseidon and predicts the future with startling accuracy. He dooms his character to a Promethean fate where he's pecked at by crows or gulls for the presumably all eternity.
Pecked at by many Amy Schumers.
So I think that all the tasks and chores he was supposed to do were works to evaluate his character. And he was to resist the temptations of the alcohol and all that so that he may pass on to heaven, but he fails and murders ostensibly Willem Dafoe's character in the end after the negative evaluation, which was his sentencing to hell. So his torment is to be pecked at by gulls for all of eternity.
But why was he a dog at the end?
Because...
Why was he farting the whole time?
Because this movie is what you want it to be. It's so...
Yeah, that's a good interpretation. I like that.
That was pretty good.
It gets a little more...
You mentioned in there his curse, and that curse lasts like a full minute of just Willem Dafoe just like, by God and Triton's beard, I summon you to the briny depths of the sea where you will be swallowed up and every single part of you will be destroyed and you'll become nothing more than the sea itself. And he just fucking keeps going, and I'm like, yes, go.
Ruin this man's day. Cancel this man on Twitter.
He just ejaculates this curse all over
and then
Robert
after
Pattinson.
he's done, Robert Pattinson
is
just like, okay, fine, your cooking's all right. Because what brought that on is him saying he doesn't like his lobster.
You know,
you're fond of me lobster.
So one of the interesting when I was listening to some breakdowns of this movie, and they got into like a lot of the subconscious and unconscious part of it, was there was a big strife between masculinity and dealing with their feminine side, and mainly in Robert Pattinson. And you see Robert Pattinson's character, Thomas Howard, struggling with his feminine side in terms of like struggling to masturbate, as well as not wanting to like wash the floors, do more of the more feminine like housewife duties. He even says, "I'm not here to be your housewife." So he has a problem with that. He has a problem with like being called a lad and not being called as, you know, seen as a man. But in that scene before that monologue, one of the things I noticed was like William Dafoe is like sort of acting like Robert Pattinson's wife, as if he's like this drunkard saying your cooking sucks, and William Dafoe gets super defensive. He's like, "No, you like my cooking, right?" And his tone changes.
You want me to just inject some hot Freudian psychology in here? So Willem Dafoe farts a lot, and Robert Pattinson has to deal with Willem Dafoe's poop a lot. All right? You know where the term anal retentive comes from? It comes from the Freudian stage of development before man is fully developed into a man. So Willem Dafoe, with all of his butt stuff, is not enough. He's not. He hasn't. He's playing to his inner like whatever, his the mother thing, all that Freudian like BS.
Yeah. And then it gets into some Carl Jung stuff where I think maybe Thomas Wake was a little bit more, I guess, comfortable with his feminine side, and he could let that emotion out and say, I why don't you like my cooking? Like, you like my lobster, right? And he's like, he just wants that gratification, which maybe isn't seen as much in more of the masculine sense, the traditional manly man. You don't care what people
I'm
think.
reading an interesting take that
so because I know the anima and the animus are a constant thing that is brought up in the whole Carl Jung's theory of this movie, because that's basically what this entire fucking movie is based off of.
Yeah,
was Carl Jung.
Interesting.
I'm reading an interesting take here that Robert Pattinson's character has an Oedipus complex towards Willem Dafoe's character. I don't necessarily agree with that take, but
well, he's choking, and then he chokes Willem, and then turns into a mermaid, and he turns back into Willem, who's also a mermaid, and then a giant tentacle comes from behind. It's like it's like fucking him in the butt.
Well, people were thinking like,
Remember that part where Thomas Wake's jizz like dripped down right in front
Yes.
of his face? He's like,
oh,
God.
as he's masturbating,
is he fucking an octopus up in the
in
lighthouse?
front of the
Yeah.
the lantern, which
I actually think the lantern was just so.
the lantern's some
so
sort
powerful.
of symbol, but I could not for the life of me figure out what it's meant to symbolize.
Well, if you go by the Prometheus, then it's the Promethean fire. It's also, he talks about St. Elmo's fire, which
What was St. Elmo? I didn't
Which
get
is
that part.
so St. Elmo's fire is a phenomenon out at sea where it seems like there is a green fire on the water, and it's a weather phenomenon or something like that, but sailors believe that if you saw it, it would bring you to your doom. That's why the Flying Dutchman in SpongeBob is green, because of St. Elmo's fire.
Yeah,
like
but
it.
whenever someone says St. Elmo's fire, all I can think of is that song.
Yeah. So it's a big whole fucking nautical thing with a lot of symbology in there, and I like that scene just without stripped of like it's very like, of course it's like, what is this? Use your brain, figure it out. But like I didn't watch it, so I just watched him as he like grabs it. He's like,
Yeah, he fucking
and the
starts
fucking
to
sound just like
the sound gets all distorted, and his like
He
face
goes negative,
melts
I
like he
think?
just opened the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, there was some cool picture tricks with that last one. I think they turned him negative actually at one point, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is happening?
it was quite
And
the
he
climax.
He just drops. He's just like, oh, trip. And then comically stumbles down the stairs, and gets.
I mean, the last minute of that movie is how I feel after.
Yeah.
You go, you hit the climax, and then you wake up and you're like, what the fuck did I just
Yeah,
do?
and you're just on a rock, just getting pecked at by gulls, by seabirds. Bad luck to kill a seabird.
And what you're saying is Robert, the character hates his peckers.
I guess, sure.
The peckers is the ultimate antagonist of this movie.
Again with the Prometheus symbology there at the end, Robert Pattinson's character Thomas Howard went up. He stole the flame of the gods per se, and that's what Prometheus did. He stole the flame of the gods and he gave it to humanity to spark intelligence into humanity.
Flame of Olympus.
And then he was punished by Zeus by putting him onto a rock, chaining him to a rock, and having an eagle come out and different translations eat his liver or just eat his organs every day.
Also, the bird changes depending upon the version of the story. Sometimes an eagle, sometimes it's
I'm
a
not
vulture.
surprised.
Now, wait, what was the what was that other tale of the two people who go into the underworld and someone's like the lovers who go down the underworld to rescue It's another
Hercules?
Greek myth.
No.
No. No.
What's her name? Meg?
Demeter.
Megara?
So
Oh,
no, Demeter and the other
Demeter
guy,
and
right?
yeah. She was like a beauty, and then she got trapped in the underworld as like Hades' wife.
And then they came to a fucking ancient Greek mystical custody agreement, and that's why we have winter. But you know what I'm talking about, that guy. That's where I thought the chain to the rocks, the guts eating out came from, but I guess it was Prometheus.
Yeah, So Prometheus got chained to the rocks, just like how we see at the end of the movie. Robert Pattinson is kind of just splayed out on this rock, getting pecked at by seagulls, and they're I guess eating his organs and eyeball and whatnot. It's pretty grotesque there at the end.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of just Greek symbology here, a lot of old time sailor stuff as well with
big old shark vagina,
different seabird curse, huh?
Yeah, there's this. I hated the X-ray, the X, because we watched this on Amazon Prime, and the fucking sidebar when I went over to pause it or like take a second or something, it showed fucking spoilers from the like later in the movie. I'm like,
really?
what the
fuck?
fuck?
That's dumb.
Yeah, because I hovered over and it's like the design of the mermaid labia was based on shark pussy. I was like, oh god, what the fuck? I haven't even got. He's still on the story hasn't even hit yet.
Yeah, come on.
He's painting. He's painting the fucking shaft. He's cleaning
I
Willem
like how
Dafoe's
they
shaft.
do the vertical, the like fucking Hitchcock vertigo pushing on the mermaid vagina too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just like really sell it to you.
The fucking wildest dream sequence was the one where he runs out and Willem Dafoe's like there. He's just like staring at him naked with the fucking X-Men
Yeah.
high
Oh,
beams
yeah.
going right into his
So-
face. I was like, whew.
Because I know everything there is about this movie apparently now. That was also taken from a medieval painting where this demonic symbol is doing the same thing to somebody else.
Yes, it's Hypnosis by Sasha Schneider.
Yes, hypnosis.
I see.
So I don't really know what that means. There's something. The hypnosis was something about bringing out the unconscious mind.
It's
Um,
art. It's
Leonard,
whatever you interpret it to be. It's the
just
painting in
like this
question.
movie, just like this fucking movie. Honestly, it's like
Yeah, this is.
you can interpret it
Yeah.
however you want it to be. I mean, there's a right answer, obviously, because there's somebody who made it. But you can definitely extract different things from it.
So, funny story. That was the second art house film I had been exposed to on that day, as I had watched Wheel of the Worst prior and saw the Turtle Dreams.
Oh, Turtle Dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little too much art house for one day for me. So by the end of this, I'm like, fuck this bullshit. Poseidon ass
I just
motherfucker.
want to like watch a movie. Like I just want to go watch like some cartoons so I can turn my brain off.
Makes you want to watch fucking a Triple Frontier.
Makes me want to watch Rogue.
We're watching Rogue. I hope you all are prepared
so-
for that.
Hey, yeah.
Let's go for it. Yeah, I would say if you don't want to try and dissect this movie, we should have put this in the before time. I would say that watch Willem Dafoe's rant and then watch Robert Pattinson's rant because they both get really good monologues.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson is fucking his teardown is the best. You smell like used foreskin. You smell like jism.
I like some of the insults.
pissing
Are you
everywhere.
a dullard?
Yeah, dollar.
There are some really funny. There are some really entertaining moments. Not just funny, but like just entertaining bits that they do that I really like.
You've never been in better hands, and it just fucking drops.
You spilled your beans. Why'd you spill
your beans?
Can't stop the
I
smooth.
think I will quote
Daniel.
this movie.
You spilled your beans.
Yeah.
What?
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 They just get so angry.
What?
I was like, what's happening?
I was
I feel like, Kurt, that was the moment when we were playing Commander that one time. And we were just at the end of our ropes.
Yeah, it was one of the most famous games of Commander in Alfred Magic history. Peter had his Archaeomancer evacuation lock in, and I was playing my Teamer Splinter Twin deck, and I had Disciple of the Ring, and I just like hucked my entire graveyard at strategic moments to break through this lock for enough damage to eventually win. It's just, this game went for hours, and by the end of it, we just hated each other, and then we had to go record the podcast.
So I said, fuck this, let's get some food. I think we did break for dinner before that, because we could not have recorded on that night. Hark!
Okay, I think I found the best thing ever is Lighthouse memes, because there's definitely some spicy memes that can come from this.
Yeah, and it's a square aspect ratio, so it fits so nicely with the text.
Yeah. So I really like that.
Yeah, so it's a movie. It's a very artsy movie. Great acting, great cinematography. I didn't necessarily agree with all the artistic choices they made with the cinematography, but it looked very nice. Writing, there's some good monologues, but like the connective tissue is a little flimsy, and it's laden with so much. It tries to be so laden with symbology that it becomes very difficult to interpret the symbolism of anything that happens in the movie.
Mm-hmm. It's like you watch one part and you're just like, all right, where's the next symbol? Like you're constantly searching for that instead of like just kind of absorbing what's happening.
Yes.
And I think I don't like these type of movies where it kind of needs a second watch, but I would almost say that this might need a second watch to just like pick different things. Because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I miss of just small little symbolism stuff.
It's also a little too long, I think.
2 hours.
About 2 hours.
When you kill the whatever semblance of an arc you have after the first hour, I looked at that because I was like, I'm like, all right, that sounds like everything's wrapping up here. Let me check the time, and there's an hour left in this movie.
The same reaction. They're like, okay, you're being relieved. Relief's coming. And then fucking there's 50 more minutes left. And I was just like, excuse you?
Yeah. So
oh my god. All right. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm spent. I'm falling down the lighthouse
bury
steps.
this like they buried William Dafoe.
Oh yeah, as he's doing like some poetry, which I'm sure is very fucking like a classic poem that means a lot and has a lot of symbolism in it.
At that point, I'm just done.
He did a great job. They're just throwing dirt in his face.
All right, Lighthouse. If you are an outhouse guy, definitely will be in your wheelhouse. If you are not, I would say skip it.
Watch it for the memes.
I'd say watch a meme compilation on YouTube rather than spend 2 hours trying to plow through the fucking symbolism in this movie. But yeah, that's The Lighthouse. We'll be back next week with a review of something that won't be so artsy.
So artsy fartsy.
Till then, check out our Twitch stream tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be back on Borderlands 3, running for that DLC. Big patch hit yesterday for Borderlands 3. They made adjustments to a lot of things and have promised some stability fixes. So we'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah, we should be back on there for a good time. Check out SaturnStuds.com for our YouTube channel and all the other stuff. And until next time, be well, stay safe, and party like it's 1995.
Peace.
Bye-bye.